Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Erasmus Expeditions. We are here with episode 23, or session 23 of Beneath the Banner's Shadow, our Arthurian and English-ish folklore, Germanic-ish folklore D&D 5e campaign. It's been going on just over 2 years now, and I'm incredibly excited. Every time we sit down with these players, what they spend is gold, and it's so much fun to torment them. So I really want to get into what's going on tonight. Tonight's episode is called A Vengeful Purge, and it should hopefully make sense by the end of the episode. We'll see. As you can tell, we are down one player, at least for the time being. Hopefully, he should be with us in about half an hour, give or take, and we'll have to kind of juggle things around a little behind the scenes so that we can get everybody's camera in the right place. But before that, I'm going to pass things over to my other players so that they can introduce themselves, plug anything that they would like, etc., etc., and then we will get things started. Before I do that, I almost always forget to do this. I wanted to thank, once again, Rachel Ayers, the artist who did most of the shield designs that you will see throughout the game. Towards was done by her, Ariana Shells by her, and the Shome, one that you can see in the upper corner, was also done by her. So, yeah, she did a great job. I highly recommend going to her if you need some kind of banners and things like that done. So thank you again, Rachel. Anybody who is watching this evening, thank you so much. It is sincerely appreciated. We are 2 subscribers away from hitting 400 here on the channel, so if you haven't subscribed already, please go ahead and do so. I would sincerely appreciate it. Very close to hitting that milestone. Oh, yes, if bad language or mature subject matter is something that bothers you, you really don't have any business watching things on my channel, honestly. I don't think there's anything here that's probably safe for you to watch. But if you're staying up past the time that your parents are in bed and you're just going to click on that button anyways, then go for it. So, yeah, I think that's all the business that I have. I'm going to pass things over, like I said, to my players. So we will start with Eli.
Hello, everybody. It's Eli Kurtz. Good to be here. I am going to be playing Sir John Lightnor tonight. He's, a human fighter. Sorry, I feel like I've completely blanked on the format for this. I like long walks on the beach
Format.
and
the exit. Do the exit.
Oh, this way. No, I'm very excited to be here. I hear there are going to be maybe some spooky vibes tonight. I just can't wait to find out. I'm feeling spooky, folks.
Me too. Happy Halloween, by the way, everybody. This will be the last thing on the channel before Halloween, so hopefully tonight's episode does bring a little bit of Halloween cheer at the expense of these characters. So, next up we have... I almost called you Dane. Steve.
I mean, it's arguably interchangeable at this point, I suppose. Let's see, what do I got going on? So speaking of things that are coming, up quickly and to an end, we got Sunderhearth, right? We are in the final stretch of that. So we got that coming up. So you should subscribe to Jeremy's channel for that, if not for this or for both. Got 2 sessions of that left, and then a lot of paperwork, so much paperwork. So yeah, we're hiring editors. It's unpaid. Yep. Just apply right in the comments. Thanks. I'm looking forward to tonight. A little bit of wrapping up with what we got going on with Dane's family and the village and his missing sister, at least for now, and then moving on to better looking orcs than Tord, right? Like, I'm assuming his family has to be better looking than him. So we'll see. But I'm looking forward to it.
Me too. There's some fun stuff out that way that I can't wait to put out in front of you guys. But before we do that, next we have, I almost did the same thing. I almost called you Edward. Josh.
Hey guys, my name is Josh, and I play Edward Bainton Pendrake, the bookish librarian turned lord from Warrenton. Tonight I'm joined with my own flesh and blood here. I've got the now 3-month-old Jasper with me. Gonna see if we can keep him quiet while we play, but no guarantees. Thank you guys so much for joining us tonight, and everybody watching in the future. Thank y'all so much. Can't wait to get back into it. It's always too long between these sessions, I always say, but if we could find time to play more than once a month, I'm sure we could.
That is the truth. Hold your ears, Jasper. Yeah, no, I'm very happy, and that's fantastic dadding, man. Way to go. Hopefully he doesn't get spooked easily. So, last but not least, Karen.
Hello, everyone. I'm Karen. I have a channel called Methane Gears, which hopefully in the next month will be kind of rebooted and started up again with some games. So that'll be pretty exciting. And tonight I get to play Ariana Shiel. Probably one of the only people in this group that is not really looking forward to going back towards homeland and seeing all them peoples there. Not looking forward to it.
I thought you were going to say the only person in the group without a title.
Shut up. You know how to hurt me. Cutting right to the quick here.
Don't worry about it. The title is just, it's not worth it.
Edward with
So
that
says the
backstab.
ones with the titles.
This is why I love this group so much. You guys can't not give each other hell. Excellent. Okay, speaking of giving each other hell, hopefully Baron will be joining us, like I said, in transit. Who knows what comes out of my mouth? I don't. But if we don't have any other questions, then we can go ahead and get this party started. Pump up the jam. Pump it up. All right, here we go. The world is a vast place, and our part in it is very small. But there are times when what transpires in our life eclipses the rest of the entire planet. It becomes difficult to care or worry about what goes on in a kingdom across the sea when a loved one is drawing their last breaths. And when such a person is taken violently from us, without warning or provocation, it can set a light ablaze within us of such intensity that the whole world could burn for our suffering. The five of you are still in fertile ground, the home village of Sir Dane, forgive me. The reception there has been warm, though you know just from the little you heard said aloud that things are not simply okay in the homestead of Dane's family, that his sister recently ran from home, not long after Dane himself had, and that she potentially had been dabbling in black magic. The road ahead, you know, to Shanin, the capital of the Angorshire, where you are now headed, is a 3-week journey on horse by road. So you are making your last preparations, packing provisions, things of that nature. You know there are villages and towns along the way, but you never know what they're going to have and what they're not. So you're making as many preparations as you can before you leave. But what is happening, what is being said before you actually leave the village of Fertile Ground.
Well, I imagine that there's a large chunk of time spent with my parents trying to almost like apologize for my sister's disappearance without apologizing for it, right? I know how my parents work. I know that the more blame I outwardly show that I'm blaming myself, the more hurt they become, right? Like, because now not only is their daughter missing, but Dane blaming himself for it. And I haven't gotten the impression that either of them are blaming me for it. But, trying to occasionally, regale them with an uplifting event that we had happen, and that's hard. That's hard, right? There's this weight that I think Dane feels, and I think maybe even in a couple moments of being away from everybody else, he maybe he even approaches Sir John about that, and or even Sir John and Eddard at the same time, and the idea that what we've done is supposed to be so good, but when you try and tell people about it, it's so harrowing and sad, right? That there's not very little immediate good has come out of anything we've done. Long reaching, maybe, but so little. These aren't the stories that you tell around the hearth, right? Like, it's not kind of like gesture to Eddard's, bag where he carries his quill and his book. And it's amazing to think that when people write these things down, that they have to think about that. They have to be able to reframe maybe that's where history and fairy tales fall apart, is in the details. And so I think maybe Dane becomes quieter throughout those hours, because there really are only 2 or 3 enjoyable things that he can tell his parents. The most enjoyable things obviously are his friends, the ones who were here with him. But the things that have transpired, you can't tell your mom that you were almost baked in an oven, right? You can't even oh hey, yeah, Mom, we fought an undead knight that's trying to kill us, but don't worry, we'll be back. Right.
I think at some point while you said Sir Dane was taking this to
Sir John and Eddard.
Yeah. I think at some point Sir John kind of raises a hand, and he's like, "Sir Dane, mothers don't want to hear about the danger. They want to hear about the glory. Whenever I would go to tournaments, I never told my mother that I was bashed about the head or slashed upon the shoulder or what have you. That only worried her. I had to find out the hard way, through trial and error, that the best thing to tell mother was just that I had won many accolades and proven my mettle upon the battlefield. Sometimes the details are not what is useful."
What accolades have we won?
Oh, we're tournament champions, of course.
Right. But everything else.
Eddard is now Lord. Sir Tord is sworn to him. There are many accomplishments we've achieved in such a short time. And we know the tragedies, and we know the trials and the peril that still faces us, of course, but Mother doesn't need to know that.
I don't discount that at all, but I've just come home after being gone for so long. And my sister's gone too. And I can see her in the garden window watching us as we pack and talk. And I go back in there and we're off again, but there's no tournament. There's no easy way to go into her and tell her that I'm leaving again and I'll be back, because I can't make any more broken promises.
Dane, you didn't make a broken promise. You stand here in front of your family again after these years.
But isn't it an unspoken promise from a son to their family that you won't hurt them?
I never promised any such thing. And in fact, I think I've hurt my father somewhat recently.
Right.
I just know you showing up in fertile ground here today proves to your parents more than anything that any of these past years could have proven to them.
I just wish there was something that we could do about my sister, but I know we can't. Not now.
Do you have any clue where she's gone off to?
Not exactly.
What do you mean?
My mother thinks that she's gotten involved in some sort of dark magic. That's possible. It seems that our family has a inclination towards magic.
To be frank, who hasn't these days?
Yes, perhaps it would be best
I look
not
at Sir
to
John.
Find her.
He doesn't.
You seem to forget what I've done to save my father recently.
Yeah, it's not the same thing.
Feels the same to me. Believe it.
No, what you did was transactional. What we do is transformational.
My debt remains unpaid, but my point is here that we are all, even, and I gesture over toward Ari, whatever she's doing, we are all of us dark magic misfits at this point.
But we're not consumed by it. And that's what I worry for my sister.
Are we?
No, I'm no more consumed by dark magic than you are by your sword.
Then you are quite consumed, my friend.
No, the moment that we become consumed that's the final line in our story. That's the final line for everyone in this land.
Yeah, I'm no storyteller. You'd have to talk to Eddard about that.
No, I don't think anyone's expecting you to write the story, Sir John. Just be a major player in it.
When speaking of stories, Dane, just remember one thing. A hero's journey doesn't always look like a hero's journey until the end, with or without the embellishment. He taps Dane on the shoulder.
That I've come to know. All right, well, I've got to go back in there and tell them something. So
We're with you.
Maybe on our way back through, we can... Oh, we'll see. And I'll turn and head into the house.
I'm sure this isn't the last time we'll travel this road. Eddard grabs the door for you.
All right, so I think we're about ready to head out.
Were we going to rest? Was it like getting into the evening? Or are we going straight to
Yeah, you guys probably would have stayed the night here.
Yeah,
It's
I was
probably
assuming
not-
it was the next morning
okay.
Yeah.
because we were up
My
late last
apologies.
night eating and
Yeah,
chatting.
yeah, right.
Yeah, for sure. Some of you probably had to sleep outside. There's not a ton of space in Dane's parents' house.
Right. I think actually we had found some land out by the barn, and we had basically popped
that's
a
right.
small camp there.
Absolutely. Yeah,
Oh yeah,
easy to
remember
do.
that.
Believe it or not, there's lots of very soft ground here. You would possibly even call it fertile.
It's loamy.
I'm here all week. That's not true. Excellent. Okay, so you go back in and you find your mother, who is very quickly shoving like hardtack bread and jerky and things of that nature into a basket that's probably a little too large for your horse.
He's packing us a lunch.
And I hard-boiled some eggs as well. They won't last long, but you should be able to eat them just over the next day or two. And she's like wrapping them in like one of her nice like cloths.
Right. And I'll walk up to her, and I'm going to catch her hands as she's tying that knot, and just hold them for a second. And it's that moment, I think we all can remember it, that moment where you realized when you were talking to your parents that you're an adult, right? Whether it was a physical thing or a mental thing. I think in this case, it's a physical thing as he puts his hands over his mother's and they sort of wrap her small hands. You don't need to fret so much. We appreciate it. I appreciate it. But you don't need to fret.
I think she continues to stare down kind of where your hands have kind of formed this stack on top of these boiled eggs in this cloth, and you just see a single tear fall and hit the cloth and soak in immediately. And she reaches up and kind of dabs at her eye with the back of her wrist.
Yeah, you can't do that. These guys have never seen me cry. Come on. I smile at her.
I always knew that we'd have to rush off on some foolish errand or another. And as a boy, I knew.
This was never something that I imagined for myself.
Only because you did not know where you came from.
No. I've always known where I've come from. And I kind of take a look around the small house. I know who I came from. And trust me, that matters a lot more than any ability to conjure spirits or anything else.
She then kind of actually will turn around and face you. And she reaches up and puts her hand kind of on your cheek. Now you're taller than her. Just remember that you have people here. We want to see you again. The kingdom may need you. But so do we.
I know. And I can't say I know what's going to happen, but I can say that nothing so far has been too much or too hard. Not when you travel with friends like I travel with.
It's not just the adventure you may be going on. Magic is like dancing on the blade of a knife, Dane. You must always be aware of what it's doing to you. As much as you wield it, it is wielding you.
I think in that moment, Dane has a flashback to that night in the streets where he surrounded his old mentor in the darkness and just beat him inside of it. And I think his hand sort of reaches up and grabs his mom's hand and pulls it down. Well, then I best learn how to wield it more efficiently than it wields me.
I believe that
I have some friends, other friends, that perhaps I can make some inquiries with about Lonnie and see if anyone knows anything or can lend a hand. And of course, we'll do the same on our way back. I'm just sorry that I can't lend the time now to do that.
just like you, your sister always chose her own path. She made up her own mind. And once you decided what that was, there was no telling you otherwise. Both of you. So whatever.
Strong children come from strong parents.
Don't worry about your sister. We will find her. But if you do hear anything, please send word to us somehow.
I will.
Better not keep them waiting.
Yeah. Thank you for everything. And I'm sure I'll see you soon.
She nods, but doesn't say anything. She turns back to tying the knot and placing the bundle in the basket.
All right. Is my father still here, or did he head out early?
No, he's stayed around to.
All right.
I mean, he would have been out of the house, but
Right.
He would have made it back before you guys had left.
Okay. So I'll go out and find him and walk with him as I, again, I know we have helpers that do this, but I'm still going to go recheck the horses and the way things are packed and all of that. And I imagine that interaction with my father is a lot like you would see like on TV with that very emotionally verklempt dad who would rather talk about engines than he would about emotions. Right? And so now these horses are getting triple checked.
Real quick, before we hop into this scene, I think Baron is ready. So I think we'll go ahead and have you start the scene, but I am going to have to be moving things around. So
Okay.
Please continue.
So yeah, I think it's one of those, as we're checking horses and wagon wheels and making sure things are packed. So I already said goodbye to mother. And I know that she told me not to worry about Lonnie, but what we can do as we travel, we will do. I'm sorry for all of this mess, for my leaving and for her leaving.
No, Dane. Look, it's I'm not going to lie. It's hard. It's difficult on us, but I'm glad that you came home.
I left the stack of letters I'd written you guys but never sent. They're in a bundle next to Mom's chair. I think I did a decent job of writing them in a manner that isn't too frightening, real. But if you wanted to look over them first, just in case. And you can skip the ones that are for Lonnie. No, she can read them when we find her.
I'm not much of a reader, but I'll
I know.
I will read your letters. I'm interested to see what it is that you've done, in your own words.
Well, I know that we have some traveling to do, so I don't want to keep everybody else waiting.
Oh, yes, of course. You made sure to check all the cinch straps around the saddles.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And you made sure to wrap the oral skins around the food that's perishable to keep it fresh.
Yeah.
Keep the rain out of it. Okay. Well, you oiled your armor and you sharpened your sword.
As best as the damn thing will let me.
Oh, yes, of course, right. Well, and yeah, I suppose everything is done, and you best be on your way to get the most of the daylight. Dane. I am proud of you, son.
Well, I think Dane just hugs him. I don't think he has a proper verbal way to respond to that. And it's probably really awkward, right? Because it's a little kid hugging their dad, but when he's gotten much taller and broader.
Yeah, I think it's definitely awkward in the first moment or two, but then he relents and returns the embrace and hugs you probably more sincerely than he has in a long time.
Well, take care of Mom.
You bet I will.
And be safe in your travels, and yeah, we'll be back as soon as we can.
Dane, if you can, find Lonnie.
I will.
All right. He kind of like straightens himself up. It's best we get these horses out of here before it gets too late.
And I'll help him like walk the horses out, and like we'll be set to go as soon as everybody else is ready.
Was there anything else that anyone wanted to do or say before you put fertile ground behind you for the time being?
Is there would there be an inn in town, or is it too small of a village?
Yeah, it's probably too small of a village.
Okay, no problem.
There might be like a house that lets rooms kind of thing, but it's definitely not like a typical tavern inn type thing.
Yeah, I was just curious if there was like a tavern in the area. That's good.
Okay.
So that shack that we walked out of at the very beginning when we got here that we thought was the White Witch's cabin, back up on the hill, that's sort of near the tree that had my name and my sister's name and everyone carved into it, right? So I'm going to go back up where we took the stuff out from the tree, and I'm going to shove a note or two notes into it. One is addressed to Lonnie, and the other one is much more tightly sealed and is not addressed to anyone, but I'm assuming that the White Witch will know it's hers if she cares to find it, sort of written with that emphasis. And I'll shoot you a message with what's in it, because it doesn't have any bearing right in a second.
Noted. Excellent. Spy secrets.
Oh, I do also get everybody to walk up to that tree with me. And I hand you each in turn this little penknife. And I step back, and I just gesture towards this tree that has my name, my sister's name, and my best friend's name on it.
You're wanting me to defile a tree?
I look at you, I just cross my arms.
It's another human tradition. All right.
Oh, you humans and your silly traditions. This poor tree. How many more times are you going to, like, destroy it like this?
I take the knife from you. I hand it to somebody else.
Edward has two knives.
I'll take the knife.
So I pass it to Tord. That helps.
I think I would use like Angorian script for like how you spell my name in Angorian. Rather than like the common tongue the trade speak. Jacoshan, I think it is.
Divinian.
Divinian, not Jacoshan. Damn it.
It's close. Jacoshan are people in Rostri.
Oh, yeah. Well, I took a shot in the dark.
Yeah. No, it's awesome. I'm glad you remembered that. Okay. Is anybody else other than Ari, I guess, not following this tradition that Dane has proposed?
I'm definitely following it, but it definitely takes the longest amount of time because I only learned how to write in cursive. So like I can't
calligraphy.
I can't do the block letters, and I'm trying to carve these curves into
No, that's not right. He
the
tries
tree.
to...
How do you do the straight lines like that? It's amazing.
You have to make it so big.
Well, of course I do.
You're taking up half the tree.
Someday people are going to pilgrimage to this tree when they know my name's carved upon it. I want it to be easy to find.
Thankfully, it's only 4 letters, so.
Oh no, Sir John of House Leitnor.
The
All
whole
of it.
thing.
I actually have to write it sideways.
He's carving in like the heraldry on the end of it. Excellent. Okay. You set out from fertile ground fairly early in the morning. The dew is still kind of thick and heavy in the air and on the ground and the plants around you. The forest, like it is in much of Vykaril, is thick. The canopy above you kind of blotting out the light here and there as the morning sun kind of goes from colors to the paleness of day. So the next 2 weeks of travel are going to go by fairly uneventfully. There's not going to be much of note that I'm going to hit on for you guys, but is there anything that you talk about or disclose or get up to while you're on the road for those 2 weeks?
I talked to Eddard.
No way, dude. I was going to talk to you.
Yeah. So that happens sooner than later. Eddard, I don't know if you're busy at the moment. I know we're leaving, in the process thereof, somewhere on the road. I have been a blur the last couple of days. Lots happened.
What is it, Tord? Is there something the matter?
Well, first, I think it was a really big fucking deal that this other shield house said they would do something for me. Right?
Yes, it's a pretty big deal. It comes as a shock to me. Do you know her?
I have no fucking clue who that was. I mean, I've heard of her briefly. Who she is, what her accolades are. No idea.
Well, you know what they say. The enemy of my enemy and all that.
That's the thing, is I'm certainly willing and looking for allies for us. You're much better at the gathering of information. Well, the more we learn, the better.
Yes. So there's something you wanted me to look into?
Just find out who she is. She doesn't like Lady Bassweb, and neither do I. And truthfully, if somewhere along the line of us forging this sword and saving Vykaril, we could do away with that nasty wench, well...
May as well.
Second, I got you this. And I'm going to produce the amulet I acquired last session from those shady dealers. The guy I bought it from claimed that it would aid in concealment from Fae protections. I think you ought to have it.
He takes it from you. Thank you, Tord. I'll wear it with honor.
I don't care how you wear it. Just fucking wear it.
He slaps you in the arm. I think somewhere along the way, while we're traveling, there are 2 things that Eddard discusses, one with just Tord and one with pretty much the entire group. Tord, he would basically, since you're like his right-hand man, he would get your opinions on the 2 road knights that he had recruited to the house. I don't know if you were, well, I think you might have missed that last time. You came in kind of late, huh?
Yeah, I was late.
Yeah, so Eddard hired two road knights. I think both of them are female. One of them's human, one of them's orc.
One of them is a human, one of them is Angorian, and they are both female. They they head to Raisin Flail, where I gave Thomas the order to give them some land and to kind of train up with him. And since he's like the guy in charge at the moment while I'm gone.
Yeah, you are.
But yeah, there are two. One of them's name is Ukonka Romd. She's an orc. And then there's Lynette Reiholt. Yeah, I basically I probably would have ran them by you before I even sent them on their way, before we left Maurit. But I never got a chance to talk to you about it. So that was one thing I'd run by you. Basically just seeing what your kind of impressions of them were. Because the thing with these guys, or gals rather, they are not at the moment like certified knights. Eddard is kind of intentionally going out of his way to give people like shots of redemption or like second chances because of everything that's going on in his life, basically.
Did they participate in the tourney?
I would have assumed that they might have.
Maybe.
At least like the Grand Melee.
It probably would have been like that, like a very open public event, because they didn't have a house to
right, they're not sponsored, but would they have, like, would it have been reasonable for us to have seen them?
Yes, absolutely. They at least would have been in some of the skirmishes and things.
Well, Eddard, I'm personally never opposed to Angorian assistance in the house, but I truthfully don't know either of them well enough to say other than I trust your judgment.
Likewise, I don't believe that I know them well enough either, but our time is thin and our need for allies grows stronger with the day, so.
Well, if anyone can whip them into shape, Thomas will try.
No doubt about it. And the second thing Eddard would have talked to the group about is basically what Sir John was drafting up, the like army plans, basically, if we were to ever get into like some sort of large scale engagement, because we are coming up on like what could potentially be like a large scale skirmish between the Angorians and the outer tribes. I'm gonna have to go open the group chat and see that again because it's been a minute since I read over it.
Yeah, absolutely. So the reason that you're kind of headed to the Angor Shire is because reports have come in that the Shire is the Shire is burning. That the Angor Shire is on fire currently, and that most of the settlements have been sacked. That apparently a new warlord from the eastern steppes has united his people, like a bunch of very desperate or separate tribes of orcs that are still not. They're not Angorian orcs. They haven't civilized themselves in human lands. They're very barbaric and savage, and they seem to have been united under one warlord, and now they're causing a lot of trouble, and the Angorians have asked for help. They're sending you.
Well, as much help as we can give them, just the couple of us, we are going to assist without like any sort of forces. We don't have any of our personal allies. So I mean, it's kind of like a touch and go situation, I guess. We don't know what the army situation is for the Angorians, like if they're starting like a militia of their own, or if they're just straight giving up and leaving because of the ferocity of the attack. Where are we headed right now? Are we headed to like a capital of some sort, or like where refugees would be going from these smaller villages?
So the barony, the seat of the barony, the seat of the duchy actually is in this city called Shenin. And it's it's kind of the central point for the Angor Shire. You still have about a week until you get there, but you know that you're going to start seeing some of the outlying settlements and things like that pretty soon.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, like, if it were up to Eddard, I would probably try and stop and get a couple of, well-bodied folks on the way to travel with us, in hopes of reclaiming their ransacked settlements. So probably just looking for, like, I don't know how big the settlements are, maybe like 5 or 10 folks from each settlement that we pass. I'm sure it wouldn't be hard to get Vincent and Angorian to fight for what they love or believe in. Isn't that right, Tor?
I believe so.
And I think at some point I would chime in something like, and if they need convincing, if they have to have the mettle of our party proved, well, I am rather obligated to my sword after all.
Crazy that you said that. I was literally just thinking that. So yeah, that's basically all Eddard is up to on the 2 weeks traveling toward Shanin.
Anybody else? Nope. Okay.
Just to follow up with the amulet, if you can just send the information to Josh.
I will do that. Yes. Remind me.
Please and thank you.
Yes, I will remind me after the game, and I will get that. Hey.
At some point during the journey, Ari's getting a lot more quiet and probably a little bit more testy than she normally is. As each day goes by and passes, but close to the beginning of the trek, once we've left fertile ground, at some point she has gone up to Tord when he's been, I don't know, repacking, rewrapping that sword he'd received back at the tournament, and seeing that, she just kind of here, and she passes like with no fanfare or anything, just kind of throws at you a sheath. It's like a scabbard, a very nice kind of one, not fancy by any means, but definitely nice quality, good looking scabbard. You might have need of this.
I've been dainty with it, trying to not cut anything. Sharp as hell.
I have been watching. You've almost cut a few of us. So maybe put it away.
Almost. I haven't cut anybody. But I will take this. Thank you.
From the distance, never even came close to cutting me.
See? Never even came close to cutting Sir John.
That's because you kept him away from your spell. Anyway, it's that's enough. I'm leaving now. Bye.
Thank you, Ari.
Excellent. Okay. So you have traveled on now for about 2 weeks. It's been fairly quiet. There hasn't really been much that has happened at all. You've seen the weather start to kind of change a bit. You are heading fully into autumn, and you find yourselves now in the Duchy of Blackbridge, which is held by House Cromell. And you had been seeing a few stragglers on the road here and there who had more than just wares. These weren't just traveling merchants. These were like entire families that you were seeing that had most of their belongings packed onto like an old sagging, plow horse moving down the road. And almost the instant that you've realized that you've kind of made the transition into the next duchy, you start seeing droves of refugees on the road, all of them heading west. You went from passing maybe 10 people a day, and now it's midday and you've seen probably at least 100 different wagons.
Does that look like people fleeing to anyone else?
Indeed it does, Sir Dane. So Tord, what do you know about this?
I know I don't fucking like it. I don't know. They're not running, they're just walking, like.
Yeah, most of them look haggard and, weary, and they're just slowly kind of trudging their way westward.
So, John, these people look like they've been walking for fucking days.
Yes, I'm not sure the danger is especially close, but it must have been immense for so many of them to flee.
Fleeing this far is my concerning part. Why? This is... We have to go. We have to. Quickly. I don't know what else to do.
Are we headed to address whatever's chased them away?
Isn't that our nightly duty?
Well, I suppose it is. Very well, lead on.
Spurring my steed, I'm going to... I mean, we have carts, right? So I'm not, like, hauling ass. But... I think Tord is actually going to ride ahead a little bit.
I was going to say the carts could always catch up with us.
I mean, I'm not, like I said, I'm not going to haul ass, but maybe to kind of like, can I see anybody of maybe that looks maybe a well-to-do, maybe a little bit wealthier, or someone who kind of maybe a charisma about them even?
Yeah, so the majority of these people are definitely the salt of the earth types. Most of them seem to be farmers of some kind. And they're all watching you with great interest as you ride past, going the opposite direction, but not a one of them dares to speak to any of you. Tord, go ahead and roll me a perception.
I would also be riding with Tord.
Okay, yeah. Anybody who's riding ahead, go ahead and roll. Sexy shoulder baron.
21 on the perception check.
That's curved.
Thanks. Angular. 12 total.
12 and 21, you said, Eddard?
Yes, sir.
Okay, cool. Anybody else? 14?
14
okay.
Perception for me.
Okay, so Eddard and Sir John, both of you actually notice as you're riding past that there's a few who have like a banner or something that is the house colors of House Camagel. And you know that the livery is a different color than that of House Criminac, which is the shield house that holds the Angorshire. So these people, though they are certainly fleeing something, and the refugees from some kind of hardship, it looks like they're probably fleeing from the Duchy of Blackridge itself, not from the Orc lands to the west, or no, to the east of here.
Just a clarification, does this duchy border those lands as well?
So this duchy is more inland, and you
Right,
have to go
okay.
through it in order to get to the Duchy of Angor.
Right.
So it'd be like the second line of defense.
The invading party, would they have to cross through Angorshire to get to where we are now?
Yes.
Okay, so this is an indication that they're pushed through Angorshire or that they're in Angorshire, or hard to say.
It's possible.
Okay. If that's something I don't know, I'm just curious.
Yeah. You don't see many people that look like they're bearing the wounds of war. You don't see very many people with weapons. You don't see very many soldiers who look like they're injured or anything. So it could be war
After
that they're
seeing like the
fleeing.
first couple, Eddard looks to Tord and he says, "They're leaving, and they're preparing to leave. They don't want the conflict. The conflict will be knocking on their door in a couple of days. They're leaving."
Is this mostly human population? Like,
Not quite exclusively, but almost.
Right.
You probably would see quite a few half-orcs, but very few actual full-blooded orcs.
I'm looking at the map right now, and it looks like Blackbridge is halfway between Malrich and Shanine. So we're like not we're only like halfway to the edge of the forest at this point. We're not even out into the plains area.
So yeah, you guys are about 2/3 of the way between Malrich and Shanine. Blackbridge is also a city, somewhat off the road that you're on currently. You won't actually go through the city unless you veer off, but you're in their duchy, so you're in the lands that kind of surround the city.
Gotcha.
Seems to me like they don't want what happened to the Angorshire to happen here, and instead of facing it, they're just leaving. How could they?
what do you mean? How could they? They're fleeing for their lives. They're afraid. Look at us. We're armed to the teeth. Look at them. They're armed with fleas.
I'm not talking about them. The soldiers. The soldiers are fleeing.
It's not much better.
Perhaps you're right. We're in quite the predicament. But when aren't we?
Those of you who ride ahead, all of you, please go ahead and give me perception rolls again. And while you're getting those for me, just drop them in the chat if you would. While we're getting to that, those of you who have pushed forward ahead down the road a bit, you come across the next town, the next village that's kind of built at the road, and it was a decent sized town, not a large city by any stretch of the imagination, but certainly bigger than Fertile Ground. And there's a horrifying sight as you ride up to where this town stood. You know that this was known as the Village of Barnett. And you can smell it before you could even see the smoke. When you find it, the village appears to have been almost completely burned down. Even the chapel here was gutted and scorched. But that's not the worst of what you see. You see crucifixes everywhere, with rotted and burned corpses still hanging upon them. The three of you, all of you, realize that every single one of them is a woman.
Edward kind of gets a wayward stench run through his nose, and he can. Gods have mercy.
By all the gods, what is the meaning of this desecration? So, Tord, have you seen anything like this before?
I left a long time ago, and I was very young and shielded from anything of this nature, at least to my knowledge. This is disgusting.
Well, clearly we should count on our foe to be ruthless.
Edward will be riding up to investigate the corpses. He's basically looking for like any sort of like calling card, see if there's like some sort of signature here. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Eli. I love you.
These bodies they've been set in the elements for some time. Your guess would be some of them probably longer than a month. So identifying much about them would be really difficult to do. There's not a lot that is left that the birds have left behind. Most of the posts probably have scratch marks of other wild animals trying to get to them. And from what you can tell, most of them likely died where they hung, or they died in a fire in addition to being crucified.
Something's not adding up for me here. It's only been days since we've come from Shanine. These corpses have been here for months. Surely if the foe is anywhere in the vicinity, they would have taken Shanine already. Am I wrong?
It could be held in siege. I don't know. I haven't been here, mate. We've been together.
Not adding up. They've pressed on so much around this area, and for them to stop here. Sense of urgency grows more dire by the second.
What are we walking into?
Danger, Ari, plain and simple. And depravity.
They're all women.
Yes. And I would guess not many of them are warriors.
Makes my blood boil. Burning women.
Would it be possible, I don't remember, the trail, can we lead it around the village so that the retainers don't have to see this?
Should be wise.
I agree. So spare them the carnage.
Yes.
You said these bodies are months rotted, right? Like they've been there for some time.
Yeah. Most of them that you can tell that aren't burnt are about probably a month, maybe a little over old.
And they haven't been completely picked by carrion birds or anything like that.
I mean, they have, but
Okay.
Mostly
Okay,
just
so it's
like the soft spots. So
that's fine. I just wanted to make sure that it would be even more unnatural if you had meat hanging there and nothing had consumed it.
and they're, truth be told, they're probably swarming with insects and stuff as well. Not to further gross it out, but
right. I mean, honestly, some of them you just walk up to and push, and they'll slide right off the. You're welcome.
Happy Halloween, everybody.
If they're all women, why?
Begs the question: what happened to the men?
No, something like this is. There can only be a few reasons for it. One, you wanted to make a point. Two, someone blamed the women of the town for something. Or three, you wanted to make sure that the population wasn't going to recover.
Dan, I think you're onto something. I think they're out here to prove a point. Like we said, the corpses are old. You've been here for at least a month, and Shanina's only a couple of days' travel from here.
But who did it?
Ari, do you see any tracks anywhere? I know these people would be long gone, but a force that could accomplish something like this, perhaps that trail is noticeable enough to not be erased so easily.
I think Ari actually almost looks at Sir John with a little bit of like gratitude, giving her a task that's going to maybe take her away from this horrible sight of what she's seeing here. And yeah, she would at that point then just kind of focus on the outlying areas of the town and seeing if there's anything leading into or out of that she could possibly find.
I think when Ari goes off to sort of patrol the town perimeter or whatever, Sir John accompanies her, not necessarily to have a conversation, just because like buddy system is good system right now.
Dane will take a look around inside the town for the same thing, right? Like his concern is all these battles that he's ever read about and the damage that we've seen. There's always broken swords or arrows stuck in things or stuff like that, and this just looks like a decimation, not a battle. And like, maybe it's because his sister is gone missing and perhaps fiddling in dark magic, but like part of him is starting to imagine this tale that the village rose up against itself, right? That they tried to purge an infection, and this was their way of handling it. So it's like with that sort of dark mindset that he's going to start looking around inside the town.
So, Ari, you go to the perimeter and start kind of scouting around the outside. And Dane, you start going through what remains of these buildings and such, kind of looking about. And one or two of you goes back to kind of lead the carts and the retainers, kind of give the town a wide berth. Ari and Dane, both of you, if you would please roll me investigation.
I'll trade you investigation for survival.
Ari's could probably be survival. That would make more sense for her, honestly. So she's physically looking for tracks. Oh, cool. Okay. So, Ari, looking around, you see... you'd see probably mainly what you would expect to find. An increase in animal traffic, a decrease in human traffic. There's just not enough people here in the town to be going out into the woods for firewood and small game and things like that anymore. And with a lack of presence of people, the animals seem to have increased their investigations of the town itself. But you see people leaving from the road in both directions in decent numbers, but the majority of which certainly went east, went west, the direction that you have just come from. But a number of them certainly pushed further east into the borderlands from here.
Whatever happened here, it's not... I don't believe it's to do with anything of Angor. People fled in both directions. It was some time ago too, as there's not been a person here for probably going on weeks.
This is something that happened among the citizens of the realm.
It appears so.
All the more disturbing.
I'm not trying to be... Look, we can ask questions of dead men and women all day, or we can push on and see if we can figure it out. I don't see anybody we can ask. Can you guys talk to the dead?
That's not really something I'd want to be doing.
I know there are incantations. Unfortunately, I don't know any of them.
All right, well, truthfully, that was kind of the question I was asking. Good to know we're still on this side of that then. Just no judgments.
Dane, you are kind of poking around, and for the most part, there's nothing of note. The most that's left standing in most houses is like the brick hearth.
Right.
The rest of the houses are kindling, but the one fully stoned building, or closely to fully stone building, was the cathedral, and you can see that it is gutted out and burned, but the door that's still standing closed and locked, kind of in the back portion of it, kind of gives you a little bit of it draws your attention just a bit, and it doesn't take much negotiating to kind of like bust it open now that the frame and the door itself are charred. And you do so, and you find a small altar. It's hard to tell what god that it worshipped, but your guess is, by the architecture, that it was a cathedral for the virtuous divinity, the 8 sanctioned gods that are the new religion. And you find amongst the rubble and ruin of this kind of back area of this cathedral, that there is a skeleton kind of kneeling before the altar. And you notice something shiny on its neck.
Right. So I think after I open that door, I think instinctually Dane probably pops Celestial to his hand. And so with the blade of the sword, I'm going to lift the shiny, like I'm assuming necklace or amulet, a little bit closer so I can see it.
You kind of lift, and being gentle, you're able to kind of nudge it upwards with the blade of your sword. However, the necklace itself kind of tightens up, and as it touches the side of this neck, this person collapses as if they were made entirely of ash. And on the end of your sword, you have an amulet hanging. It is badly melted. But even still, just the material and some of the vague shapes that remain, you can tell that this was a holy symbol to the virtuous divinity.
What did you find?
I'll start walking back out, and I think at this point I'm sort of gripping the amulet. Is there any prominence or significance of like females as far as the virtuous divinity is concerned? Like nothing. Okay.
Not necessarily. I mean, there are female saints and male saints,
right?
And yeah,
but there's no. Okay. There's an altar in the church, of course, but this was hanging on a skeleton. Probably would have been the local priest. But as soon as I touched it, the skeleton crumbled.
The body was just
posed in prayer.
In prayer.
I think. That was the impression I got, right? Like it was actually praying in front of the...
It's not that a bit odd? I mean, if you were on fire, would you sit there and pray? Or would you be running around and screaming in pain? Was this fire just very quick?
Well... You said that the cathedral's mostly made out of stone, right? Okay. So looking at the outside stone, going off of a very limited knowledge of how this works, more just what he's read and what his father's told him. If it was like a very fast flash, high temperature fire, then the stones will probably be more shattered than cracked by heat, right? Because it would have been a much more forceful ignition and high temperature. At least that's what happens when you do smithing wrong. So, like I said, using that rudimentary knowledge, I'll take a look at the stone that I can find and take a look at it to see if it looks like, was this a building fire or was this a super intense fire?
Okay. So roll me another investigation, if you would, and you can have advantage.
While he's doing that, I'm going to cast Detect Magic in the cathedral.
Wow. So an 11 on the first roll and a natural 20 on the second roll. So a total of 20.
Excellent.
Because I have no investigation.
Okay. While you're looking around, Eddard, with this Detect Magic going, you don't see any. You detect faint, again, almost like ashes, in the remains of what was the skeleton that Dane described to you. Almost like as if pieces of that maybe had magic to them, but it's incredibly faint. Very, very distant. Dane, you kind of looking around the compound, you actually come to the conclusion that at least the fire that engulfed the cathedral started here, inside this room, and it looks like it was centered on where this corpse is. The ceiling directly above this corpse is by far the most burnt portion of what remains of the ceiling, and it looks like the fire probably spread from here.
Shortly after we all first met, we saw something similar to this. It just hadn't gotten quite so catastrophic yet.
Edward kind of winces.
I think I know the fire started in here. And to answer your question earlier, Ari, if I was the one that summoned the flame and felt it my penance to burn alongside it, I don't think I would run. Did the church turn against the people here too? Is this another crazed priest on some sort of witch hunt?
Seems like a common reoccurrence nowadays in Vykaril.
This chills me to the bones.
It's disgusting.
Yes, I find I don't want to stay.
I'll second that. I'd like to continue.
Yes, I believe we better be off.
I hope that whatever errand we're on brings some kind of justice to this place. Even if only someday.
How many, roughly speaking, how many women are like crucified out there?
There's probably close to 24 of them.
Okay.
We already know how the priests of the virtuous divinity feel about magic and witches. I think you hit it right on the head, Dane.
How big would the population of this village been?
Maybe a few hundred people at the most.
And from what I can tell, the bodies that are hung up, are they of varying age, or do they all seem pretty?
It's really hard to tell at this point, but I mean,
All
some of them definitely were younger women. Possibly
Right, and then some of them, I'm
girls.
sure, like you could find like a melted in wedding band or something, and
Yeah,
go,
absolutely.
okay, that's you got a bit of an age gap. The door, when I negotiated it open, was locked, right? And it would lock from the altar side, not from the outside?
Either. Yeah,
So
it could have been locked from either side, but you did not find any remains of
key on him. right? Maybe it wasn't him. Maybe. Maybe he was being punished. What if it's the other way around? What if some black magic user came here and extracted a toll on the village? Locked the priest in and burnt him. Strung up the women who weren't useful or who resisted.
It's unfortunate. I don't think there's enough evidence to swing it one way or the other.
Yes, best not to invite dark thoughts when there are so many already here.
So do we just leave it like this?
I don't know what we could do here. Should we take down the crucifixes?
I'm no man of the church, but that seems like their territory.
This place was abandoned by all who live near, and I wonder if they know something we don't.
Sometimes it's best not to meddle.
Isn't that what we do?
Yes, and such a good position it lands us in.
I mean, realistically, at this moment in time, Dane, we're following your advice, looking to keep our noses clean of trouble.
As much as it pains me to walk away from a mystery, I think Tord has a good point here. Maybe it is best not to meddle.
At least not yet. We have pressing things. We can come back.
But it's been a month or so. News would surely have reached somewhere by now.
Well, that's kind of what I'm saying, is we haven't asked anybody.
But we're only a few weeks from Fertile. Like, even there, we would have heard something.
And we've mostly camped along the road. It's entirely possible that news hasn't reached here yet. Or fertile ground.
But how?
Dane, you have a number of questions, and we have no answers. We can sit here, and we can try and figure them out, or we can continue the errand we had in the first place and help out people we know are suffering still, not in the past.
Dane, I admire your tenacity, I do, and I want to help these people, I do.
But what if my village is next?
I want to stop it. I can't stop it by taking bodies off of crosses.
Fertile ground is still 2 weeks away. We encountered nothing like this until we got to this point. At the very least, we should hope that they should have advance warning. We can even send a messenger back to them. And I think
I could send a message to them.
We can do that. We have fucking magic.
Who best to tell? I don't know. I don't know anybody from Shanin. Should I just spread word across to Malvern? Fertile ground?
Can you get a message to my father?
Of course.
There's a lot more to him than you would think.
He may not understand, but tell me what you would like for me to tell him. Keep it short. I can only do so much.
Tell him that this village is destroyed. It's been several weeks. That the women were crucified. And it looks like magical fire.
Did we get the name of this village?
Yes, this is Barnett.
Barnett. Okay. So yes, I would do my best to summarize that and send a. I forget. I think it's called sending. It's a 4th level spell. Do that to send that message across to Dane's father.
And a short time later, you get a response of, "Thank you. We'll spread word."
Good enough for me. He says he'll spread the word, Dane.
What water source is here? Is it well, or is there a creek, or?
Yeah, there's a fairly substantial river that flows not far from here, but there would be a well here in the village proper.
All right. I just want to drop the water and look at it and see how gross it looks compared to what it should.
So,
Just a body in the well. Awesome.
It looks like there's quite a bit of ash and things of that nature kind of floating on the top. Like it's been a while since it's been skimmed or cleaned. But the water beneath that seems normal to you.
Okay. So I'll pull up a bucket of the cleanest water I can get, in 1 or 2 buckets, and I'm just gonna wash my hands from having touched all this stone and ash and grossness. All right. So I suppose we should be on our way then.
I believe the caravan is waiting for us on the other side of the road.
Okay. You leave the town of Barnett. What remains? It's cold, charcoal courts of a village behind you as you meet back up with your caravan and press on for the remainder of the day. And that night, as you make camp just off the road, you start to realize quickly that autumn is well on its way. The first chill of the season sets in as a full blood-red moon rises in the sky above the trees. If there's anything that you're going to say or do as you make camp, or the first bit of the evening passes before you begin to turn in, please let me know.
If there's a fire, Eddard spends his time writing down all the stuff that happened in his new journal with his new quill.
I think
beautiful quill. If
I think Dane
so
sits
myself.
away from the fire.
Does Ari actually say that?
No.
Little PvP.
So, John, I'd like to say congratulations on winning the tournament. Hadn't really had a chance to see you much in the days since.
Oh, yes. It is in the past, but I am all too grateful that such a worthy foe as yourself might congratulate me.
I feel like I have a new light in my fire to learn swordsmanship. And for you, I have that to thank.
Ah, yes. Well, if you ever need any pointers, please, I would be happy to spar again in the future.
I would greatly appreciate the opportunity, Sir John.
Of course, of course. You know what? I haven't stretched my sword arm in a little while. Shall we have a go at it now?
Kind of holding the new sheath for this beautiful sword that I have. You wouldn't mind if I took a few swings with my new sword?
Not at all, not at all. Please, let's go gear up and we can meet, I suppose, over there is as good a training yard as any. I don't know about you. I don't really feel like we need to roll to resolve this. We can just say...
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
I mean, that just could be a segue if there's something going on. Like, we don't have to roll anything.
For sure. Yeah, we just see a montage of the two of you kind of wailing on each other and getting some exercise in.
Two dudes, sword fighting. Two bros, yeah.
Laughing,
Montage.
clasping arms.
The sweat all glistening off of your muscles at one point. It's very
some
Top
more
Gun
hot shoulder
volleyball.
action.
In the light of the blood red moon, you know.
Ari in this by the side, just kind of shaking her head and tisking when everything, like whenever somebody does a faulty move.
Is Ari by the fire?
She would have been initially. Once it gets later, she will have disappeared from the fire. But she would have sat around for a while.
Okay, I think Eddard would have waited for her to get up and then followed her trail to the outskirts of the camp. You might lose me.
I don't think she would even be thinking that you're following her at this point. She left you at the fire. She'd look behind a little bit. You're writing. She's good, and she would go off and try to find kind of a clearing in the moonlight, again with a little, standing water pool or whatever. And she would again try to. Sorry. The chat's killing me. She would try to send a message again, having not heard anything back for, I guess, weeks now. And she's becoming a little bit more and more disturbed at this news. So she's trying again to send a message and waiting for a reply. So maybe while she's there waiting and just looking into this pond, this little pool, that could be when Eddard sees her.
Yeah, and he's not like overly quiet about it. You probably heard him coming like 100 yards away. And he sees you. And by this time, you're already looking at him, probably when he gets to the clearing. He says, Ari, we need to talk. Not so much you, just me. And I'll keep it brief. I need to apologize. I know that Reagan said it was you who took the quill, but I should have known better. You're my greatest friend. I never even once thought of the implication that somebody had taken your visage and used it to play a ruse on me. I should have known better, but I acted hastily, and for that I must apologize. Please accept.
So as you came up, you kind of startled her. She would have stood up quite quickly, and then you started speaking. And as you continue talking, Ari gets a little bit more and more uncomfortable with what you're saying to her.
I can see that it is a sore subject, and as long as you're able to accept my apology and forgive me, I'd like to move forward. I don't want to think about that thing ever again.
Edward, I've not been 100% honest with you. Sorry. I think I might know why and who took your quill.
Do you believe so?
I'm afraid I do. It was not me, but it was supposed to have been.
What do you mean?
Edward.
What of that quill? What is the importance of it to you? What does it mean to you?
I cannot tell you that. You are not Cardell, so I cannot say.
It's beyond me. That's what you're saying.
It is not my place to say.
I understand.
But I have been watching you since the moment I met you at Warrington. Edward, I know what I'm about to say may be painful, but I was sent here to spy on you, to find that quill, and to retrieve it. But I have failed, and I did not do this. For somewhere along the line, I grew fond of you.
While what you say comes as a shock to me, I am now, more than I've ever been, a judge of character. And as you stand here in front of me today, I can tell you don't stand here as a spy. You stand in front of me as my friend.
Ari just kind of looks down at the ground. Edward, I don't know if I'm worthy of being your friend. I have failed in my duty. And this, and she would point to the pool, this shows me nothing. I've heard nothing.
So do you believe it was For naught.
I don't know what it means. I have let my people down. And there will be consequences, but I do not know what they are.
You may have let them down, but I struggle to think of a time that you've let me down. And it may seem a bit selfish to say, but to me, that's what matters.
Ari just kind of, again, looks down at the ground. Doesn't really say much. Then eventually she would look up, probably after like a few tense moments. Edward, thank you. You have become a great man. And I see great things for you. Just stay strong.
I know I must get stronger by the day. Maybe not physically, but there's so much turmoil. It begs my mental fortitude to increase. Wherever the quill is, I want you to know that it is not as important as our friendship. And as long as you're willing to forgive me, I forgive you. And I won't tell anybody else about this.
There is nothing for me to forgive you. You are right in your actions. I was not truthful with you. But thank you for forgiving me. But I fear out there are people who would disagree with you about the importance of that quill and our friendship.
I suppose so. But everybody has their own opinion, and everybody's entitled to one. Doesn't mean I have to listen.
Aye.
And about the quill, I was in touch with Reagan. I might speak with her tomorrow. I told her about the second quill. I don't know if you remember back in Kerwall, the scribe shop, there was an identical quill, literally an exact replica.
I saw it, yes.
She promised that she would look into it for me.
Well, for her sake, I hope it is already gone by the time she gets there.
It's probably for the best. Edward approaches you, and it may seem like kind of awkward, but he embraces you, and he just gives you a real nice tight hug.
Yeah, I think it's definitely awkward because at first Ari goes like ramrod stiff. How dare you touch me? And then after a few heartbeats, she would relax and let you hug her, kind of just patting you on the back slightly. Enough of that, eh?
Yes, enough of that. Well, I'll leave you to it.
I don't think it's going to tell me anything tonight. I'll come with you.
Well, then let's head back.
later that evening, sometime in the wee hours of morning, perhaps, I don't know, Tord, maybe you are either on watch, or maybe you were awoken with nature's call in the middle of the night, but for some reason you are awake. And by the light of the blood-red moon, you have stepped just outside of the perimeter of camp. And as you are out there, you notice that there is a faint bluish light that appears to be meandering through the trees, vaguely moving in the camp's direction. You're muted.
Do I have any idea how far away?
I would say it's probably 100 yards or so. And as it seems to be getting a little brighter, seems to be getting a little closer, you feel the temperatures are starting to drop.
I'm gonna move my cat, and I'm gonna run back to camp and wake everyone up.
You do so. You move and quickly, you turn and quickly move back towards camp. And as you do, you hear a noise. It sounds like crying.
Everyone wake the fuck up. I'm not even playing around with this bullshit tonight. So
That is where we're going to take our break. So as Tord is trying to rouse the camp, we will take 5 to 10 minutes, refill your drinks, go to the bathroom, kiss your spouse, smoke them if you got them, etc., etc. Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in so far. I cannot wait to get to the second half of what I have planned. We may not get to everything, but we'll have to see. Very excited. I love this game. These people bring these wonderful moments to these characters, and they make these stories so fantastic. So I am very eager to get to the second part. But first, 5 to 10 minutes. We'll be right back. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the second half of tonight's session 23, A Vengeful Purge. You are on the eastern side of the village of Barnett, what remains of it. You have stopped for the evening and have camped. And you talked a bit with one another before settling in. And then at some point in the middle of the night, you had stepped away from the middle of camp and saw a strange blue light approaching the camp in a kind of meandering fashion. And you heard the sounds of a voice sobbing. It didn't sound like a normal voice. You have turned and rushed back to camp and are now trying to rouse everyone.
Wake up. Some weird shit. I'm not playing around. I'm going to shake Ari's tent. Wake up.
What do you want?
Do you hear that?
What? Do I hear what? Do I
There's
get
something.
it?
Yeah. You're like mid. Do you hear it?
That wasn't your stomach.
What?
And I think there'd be a rustling in the tent, and after a few moments, Ari would pop out. Where is it coming from?
That was a glowing spot over there.
Now that you look toward, and Ari, both, you see that this light that has gotten closer is hovering off the ground, and it has the vague shape of a woman.
Before anybody else goes out here, Ari, I swear to God, they're gonna say some shit about us not taking the fucking bodies down.
What these guys?
Yes, our human friends who are gonna say that, oh, we didn't do this, even though there's probably no coincidence on these two things at all.
You know, humans.
Spirits and traumatic events and
They're so superstitious, I tell you.
well, wake up, there's something out here.
Yeah, now definitely go to Eddard's tent first.
I'm trying to see what it is. Like, is there more? Is it just one? Do I recognize any of his characteristics?
So, as Ari kind of goes and starts to wake up the rest of the group, you look toward, maybe even kind of stepping aside or stepping a little closer to get a better look, and you can see through the trees the form of a woman who had a hood over her head. Looks like buckled harness and chains kind of dragging behind her, though they don't seem to catch or actually make contact with the ground as she hovers around between these dark trees. And you can see every once in a while she stops and kind of turns the head-shaped lump, if you will, on top of her shoulders this way and that. And then you realize her face turns and looks directly at you. And she changes the direction she was going, coming straight towards you. And her sobbing lessens.
Since I was sleeping, I imagine I'm not like ready for battle. So I'm going to go back to my tent as fast as I can.
Ari proceeds to, not so gently anymore, wake the other three up. Probably with kicks and stuff, because, yeah. Time.
Yeah, it arouses pretty quickly.
Yeah, I think at this point we're all used to being woken up in the middle of the night for terrible things. So
everyone is actually already in their armor. Like everyone's just kind of sitting on their bag, like waiting for the tent flap to open. Like, yeah, we were waiting. It's okay. And like everyone comes out ready to go.
Everyone but Tord was ready.
Does anyone actually sleep?
I thought we had told you this was something we do now.
Was there like a group meeting? Did I miss a group meeting?
Maybe you were sick.
You guys just don't invite me to those anymore, do you?
did we forget to send him the invitation?
No, he's a valued member of the team.
Right.
When
Totally forgot.
It's
when were we not together? I guess we did spend quite a time apart.
So yeah, Dane will exit the tent pretty rapidly. Obviously not in armor, because who sleeps in armor?
Yeah, I'm not donning full armor. I just have a shield and sword at the moment.
This figure has now floated into the edge of your camp and still seems to be, again, kind of meandering, but is headed straight towards Tord.
I don't suppose as a friend of yours. You're muted.
Nope, don't like her. Nope. And I'm drawing my sword and I'm getting ready to attack.
You point the blade menacingly, and as you do, she raises her hand and points a pale finger towards you. She stops some distance away, and she says, You have been touched by one such as me. One stuck in Amaween, the world between worlds. I see black feathers, a crow, but not always thus. Do you fear me?
Do I have any reason to?
Perhaps.
Well, then what is it that you seek?
I can sense you. Do you know someone who has died? Someone like me.
What are you?
There are those who would call me witch.
Aye. The eve of her death is not far away.
She too is in the world between worlds. She too haunts you.
What do you need from me? What am I to do?
Bring me peace, that I may rest.
Who do I seek that deserves retribution?
Someone other than Baron, please volunteer.
I volunteer as tribute.
Josh. Eddard, actually. Eddard, as you are getting out of your tent to see this spectacle, everyone's eyes are very rapt on this spirit at the edge of your camp. However, you catch more movement in the woods approaching. They're not very far, and you see two of them, and they are making haste towards you. You see not spirits like the figure that is before you, but something that is not unfamiliar either. You see two raveners quickly making their way towards your camp.
Yeah, as soon as he sees that, he's calling out to everyone around him. It's not alone. It's not alone. Raveners!
Everyone, if you would please, roll initiative. Hey. Let's see, we got Eddard with a 10. Got Ari with a 15. Dane with a 14. Dirty 20 from Tord. And a 22 from Sir John. Wow. Okay. So, Tord, you ask this question. No sooner have the words escaped your lips than Eddard is trying to get the attention of the group and pointing out these rapidly approaching creatures. But it is Sir John who is able to answer Eddard's call fastest. So what is Sir John doing?
So, how far away are these raveners?
So they're approaching from two different directions. Each one of them is about 30 feet from where you are.
Okay. I think what I want to do is, what is the name of this? Okay. So I'm going to move up to meet one of them. And I am armed with my sword and shield. And I think I'm just going to no nonsense, take a swing at this thing. But I'm going to use the maneuvering strike maneuver, which of course we all know is the Winged Valor Gambit. And I'm going to basically like bash with the shield at the same time that I slash with the sword. And so let's see, add it to the damage roll. So the attack is 19 to hit.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. And then the damage roll gets this d10 added to it. Okay. That's going to be, oh, bummer. Snake eyes. That's going to be a total of 9 damage against this thing. And I think at the same time, I shout out, I like hack at this thing, and then I turn back. So Dane, I need your assistance here. And Dane, you can use your reaction to move up to half your speed.
All right, so I'll move up 20. Try and get up next to you.
Okay. How much was the damage again, Eli? 19?
9.
9. It's kind of like 19. Okay. Sir John has closed with this thing and swung at it. The sword of House Lightnor, the Talon of Foresight, finding purchase amongst this kind of semi-ethereal creature and making a deep cut. But it is certainly still very much looking with a ravenous appetite. All right, Tord, you are up next.
Tord is going to move. I'm going to try to move in next to Sir John, covering his flank. And I'm going to cast Crusaders Mantle. All of my allies within a 30-foot radius get an extra 1d4 radiant damage when they hit with a weapon attack. And this is just like me calling forth the powers of my oath to bolster my allies. And as long as Sir John is within 10 feet of me, he has resistance to spells. So.
What were you attacking again? Just one of the revenants?
I'm not attacking.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
My action is casting the spell to everybody in 30 feet of me, gains an extra 1d4 radiant damage.
Okay, cool.
And basically, I'm just positioning myself behind Sir John so he doesn't get 2 Raveners on him at once.
And what does it look like as Tord kind of summons this protection into being?
So, a while ago, I had created this like patchwork cloak of various woodland creature parts, like stag horns and a bear pelt and various things, and I kind of put the hood atop my chainmail, and as I cast this mantle, it kind of fits into the right places and like is like lynched down by like cords made of dried sinew and tendon, but like very ornately done. The furs show like tannings, and like this is like a crafted armor, and I very much look like a knight paladin. Defending my ally here.
Excellent. You summon this into being, and the small clearing around you kind of glows with more than one color of light now. And these 2 Raveners seem to ignore the rest of you. And they go moving straight towards this spirit with almost like a slavering, like attack like a predator hunting a prey. They leap towards this spirit. Both of them taking their broken longswords and swiping towards her. Multiple times, each of them. Several of these hits are making contact with her, and you can see the blue light that she glows with leaks from these wounds that their jagged blades are imparting into her incorporeal body. And with each slash, she wails, "No! No!" Ari, it is your turn.
So I don't think she even realizes that it's going after the spirit so much as she just remembers seeing these things, and the last time its focus was on Eddard, and so she is going straight out into kind of battle mode, and she would attack, run at one of the Raveners and attack with her short sword and a kick.
Are you going after the same one that Sir John has already damaged, or the other one?
Let's go after the same one that Sir John has already.
Okay. So go ahead and make your attack rolls.
Okay. So oh, yuck. So the first roll, I am going to roll inspiration to re-roll it because I don't like it. It was a 1.
Fair enough.
Okay, so that will be a dirty 20 to hit. And the second one is a 15.
15 is the magic number, so that's what you're looking for to hit these Raveners.
Okay, so as the sword hits, I'm using a key point to imbue it with more of her energy. This is also considered magical, her strikes.
Okay,
and I'm
excellent.
also going to use a key point to make it a stunning strike as well. So the creature would have to make a con save with DC 14 at the moment.
Would failing impart the stunned condition?
Yes.
These things are immune from the stunned condition.
Okay. So when it hasn't happened, then she'll know that. Okay, 8. So the sword does 12 points of magical damage and then 4 radiant. And then so that spell that Tord put on us, that's just for weapons, right? Does that count unarmed?
I think unarmed strikes still count as a weapon attack, so okay. I would say yes, especially for coming from a monk.
This is also considered magical damage, and that'll be 10 points of the magical from her kick and 3 radiant.
Okay.
And then
Ari, as you had moved close and begin your like up close and personal barrage on this Ravener, you actually notice the wound that Sir John caused this thing. That at the edges of this wound, you can see it looks like just hollow fabric that forms kind of like the outside of their clothing, but the threads that were severed are reaching towards one another and like rebinding together, like they're reweaving themselves whole. And you come up and pummel this thing with your weapons and your kick, and you notice that the initial damage doesn't really seem to do anything different, that these wounds are starting to knit themselves, except yours, the glow that your attack came with seems to linger on these wounds and keeps them open.
Okay. As a bonus action, I'm going to strike out with my hand, kind of almost like in an open palm strike, aiming kind of for that, if I hit, that wound that Sir John had made. We'll see if we hit. Oh no, we miss on that one. Yeah, we were aiming for it. We missed. Maybe the kick or whatever spun him too far, and the shot was off, and her hand just kind of goes through the air. And I believe that is my turn at this moment.
Right. So Ari, closed with one of these things. The two of them closed with the spirit. Sir John right on the other side of this one that Ari has just attacked. Dane, it is your turn.
So, I've already got up close and personal. I don't want to like flood it because then Sir John can't get in. Oh, so I guess the one that's already been attacked. I'm going to just quickly sort of reach out with my hand, and this golden bolt will leap from it and attempt to strike this thing. 17.
That does
Yes, that'll
indeed
hit.
hit. Yep.
So 6, 12, 18, 24, 28, 36 points of damage.
What kind?
It's radiant.
Okay.
Yeah, it's guiding bolt. And as that sort of like ambery gold bolt flies to the air, it crackles across this creature, overwhelming its natural hues, and it's irradiated in this golden light for the next person to attack it.
And Ari, again, being up close, Sir John, you probably even notice, because it's very obvious at this point, that this golden light that has landed from Dane's spell is tearing at those edges that are attempting to reweave and mend themselves. Okay. That was Dane. Eddard, it is your turn.
Okay. So both of them have closed with the spirit.
Yes, they have.
Okay. It seems like most of the attention is on the one Sir John attacked.
Yes, that's the only one that's been injured at all.
Okay. Do I have enough movement speed to make it up to the other one?
Yes.
Okay.
You can close with it.
I'm basically, I'm closing with this this other Ravener. And Eddard closes with it, and he kind of starts to circle it, and he draws his dagger. But instead of striking with his dagger, his right hand starts to glow with this like purplish, pinkish fog. And he like basically does this like forward palm strike just to kind of touch it. But you said there's nothing there. So I imagine like his hand actually goes through the Ravener, and that is him casting Bestow Curse.
Ooh, okay.
It needs a wisdom saving throw.
Wisdom save. All right. Let's see. What is the DC?
17.
Failed with a 12.
Perfect. And so now I can pick one of the 4 options. I'm going to choose, while cursed, the target must make a wisdom saving throw at the start of each turn. If it fails, it wastes its action doing nothing.
Okay, excellent.
Do I have enough movement to move away, or would I have wasted all my movement getting closing with it? I know I'm taking an opportunity attack right here, but let's see, 30 feet.
No, it would have taken all of your movement to get to it.
Okay, yeah, it's fine.
So what kind of... is this a charm effect by any chance?
I don't believe. I think it's straight curse. Let me have a look. No, it doesn't say charm.
Okay. I think it might just be the condition
Cursed.
charm that it's referring to, but perfect. Just wanted
I do have charm spells, but it's a curse.
Okay.
Effect,
excellent.
debuff, that works. Huh?
Mm-hmm. So...
yeah, so like I imagine he brandishes his dagger like he's going to strike, but instead he just forward palms his hand with this purplish pinkish energy inside this Ravener. And as the energy like creeps down his arm, it kind of manifests itself as these like wispy purplish pinkish snakes that are like nipping all around this creature, just distracting it.
Excellent. And it definitely seems to be paying attention to these and somewhat distracted from its original target. Okay. This spirit, recoiling from these Raveners, she makes this motion with her hands, seems to be very practiced, and as she brings her fists tightly together quickly, she shouts, and a wave of thunderous sound is going to erupt from her as she casts Thunder Wave. But when she does that, anybody who wishes to, would you please roll me a d20?
13.
13. Let's see. 13. Huh. Okay. So, everybody in the area immediately around her, I think it's just going to be the 2 Raveners. They have to make saving
I'm also
throws.
there.
Okay, so please make me a Constitution save.
Is Tord within 10 feet of myself?
What did Tord do? Has he acted yet?
I moved over to Sir John, who was by the Raveners, who moved over to her. They move more than 10 feet to her.
So yeah, you're probably right at the edge of that, Ari.
So would I get his the +3 bonus from his aura?
Yes. Uh-huh.
Awesome. Perfect. So that will be a 16.
I'm useful.
Okay, 16. Will pass. Barely. So, she makes this enormous eruptive noise by slamming her fists together. Both of the Raveners are shoved 10 feet away from her. Ari, you manage to ignore the force from this this noise, and you only take 4 points of thunder damage, which is from the noise itself. But you also notice that some of her wounds that are kind of leaking this bluish light, they seem to almost close a little. Okay. Now that she has kind of open space around her, she actually flies backwards a number of feet, quite a few. So she's about 30 feet away from the skirmish now on the other side. That brings us back to Sir John.
All right. So I think I am also a little way away from the skirmish because I went up to attack and then they went and took after her, right?
Yeah, so you'd probably be 5-10 feet away from one.
Sure. Okay, so what I want to do is like dash over to where they are located, and I'm going to do just a normal attack now. Oh shoot, I forgot all about my second attack last time. Son of a gun. Okay.
Uh-oh.
Anyway, I'm going to do a normal attack right now, and that is a oh god, what are my stats? That's a 21 to hit. Not a natural
Yes.
20.
Yes, that does
And
hit.
then I'm going to spend another superiority die to invoke the majestic slash of heaven, which is a pushing attack. And so let's see. Let's do the roll first. That's a better roll. Okay. So 13 damage against the Ravener who is most damaged, I suppose.
The
and
same target
then-
you were on before.
Yeah. And then it needs to make a strength saving throw with a DC of 17.
Add 1d4 radiant damage.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. That's another 4 damage. So takes it up to 17 damage total.
Excellent. Okay. And you said a strength save?
Yeah, DC 17.
Okay. DC 17 failed with a 12.
Cool. So it is pushed 15 feet directly away from where the spirit is has moved herself, right?
Okay. Yeah.
So I think she said it was 30 feet away or whatever. Now there's 45 feet between them.
Excellent. So yeah, you again kind of slam into this creature. Again, you can see the extra bonus, the bless that Tord has placed upon you. That the light seems to keep these wounds that you're now making open for longer.
Cool. And then for my next trick, I'm going to be taking my second attack here against the other Ravener. And that is 16 on the die, so definitely hits.
Is a hit. Yep.
And then I'm going to do another superiority die and do the same pushing attack, majestic slash of heaven, against this second Ravener. And so, yeah, I've got all my dice here. That is 10 plus, yeah, so 17 damage against the thing again.
Another powerful slice from Sir John, and this creature is thrown backwards by the force of the blow, once again with a kind of glowing edged gash upon it.
And I threw it back in the same direction as the other one so that they're grouped together and they're a good distance away from the specter. And I think I shout out to everyone, I'm like, we must protect the specter until we have a reason to do otherwise.
Okay. That brings us to Tord.
These things are grouped together 15 feet away from where Sir John and I were standing. Or is, I think he was like 10 feet away from me.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So roughly 30 feet away from me.
I would say within 30 feet at the very least. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I'm just going to attack.
You going after the one that is damaged more or the one that's damaged less?
Go for the one that's damaged less.
Okay. We move up to it. And dot. Tension.
What are my stats? 124 to hit.
It is a hit.
Oh, that's absurd. For 13 points of slashing damage. Oh, man.
It is from the
4
sword that
4 points of radiant.
Okay. It is from the sword that you were handed at the tournament, right? Or in the other realm?
Sorry, I lagged out of it.
Oh. The sword that you're wielding is the one that you were handed at the tournament or in the dream world of the tournament?
Yeah.
Okay. Excellent. So, like I said, I don't know if you read the description that I posted here in the chat, but your sword, Aedeging, is a magical blade. It only counts as a +1. So now that you have hit this creature, this Ravener, it has a mark upon it. You can only mark one creature at a time, but each subsequent attack that you take gets an additional +1 to a max of a +5 on this thing.
Right.
Until it's down. So what does the mark that you leave on this thing look like? Does it have a visual to it?
It is a Sylvan symbol. It's a runic letter, pronoun of some kind. I'm sure if I had time to, look at it longer than in the middle of combat, I could find it out.
Excellent. This thing kind of glows, emblazoned. I imagine almost like on the thing's forehead, kind of like above its eyes. Okay, so that was just your first attack, wasn't it?
Yes, correct.
Okay.
So
this next attack will actually be at a +2.
Okay. So what would have been a dirty 20 would have been a 21.
Yep. And that is a hit.
And the damage remains at just a +1, correct?
No, it also climbs.
Oh, also a +2?
Yes.
Jesus. 11 points of slashing. Another 4 points of radiant. And that's my turn. I didn't get hit, so I don't have to maintain concentration.
Okay.
Or roll my concentration.
These things are being splayed open, and each of these wounds is leaking this kind of dark, black, purple, almost like a heavy smoke or a fog. But at the edges of where all these cuts are, this radiant magic keeps these wounds from closing. Both of them have now turned their attention away from the specter and towards you. Ward, you said you had a spell going. Yes?
Yeah.
One of them reaches out towards you with a hand, or at least a gauntlet. And you can feel something being pulled to the surface of your skin in the direction of this creature, as if it is drawing something out of you. I need you to make an intelligence saving throw.
No.
Yay, that's where he's a Viking.
That's his best stat.
Natural one.
Ooh. Okay.
Oh, I got a 4. I got a 4 for my own buff.
The spell that you currently have going, it is no longer going. As this creature draws the magic out of you, and you are going to take 28 points of necrotic damage. All of you watch as this... You can feel the divinity of this blessing, the assuredness that Tord has lent to you. It almost has a color to it, as you can watch it drawn almost like it's straight out of the pores of Tord and into the palm of this creature's hand. The other turns towards you, Sir John, and with his jagged, broken longsword, attacks you 3 times with incredible speed. What is your AC?
19.
Okay. The first 2 of these attacks both manage to bypass your defenses and are going to cut you. The first one is going to be 11 points of slashing. And you do not have a spell that is active on you, do you?
Not if Towards has come to an end. No.
Okay.
I would have spell resistance otherwise.
Okay. So then that cuts deep, but not perhaps as bad as it could have been. The second strike is going to deal an additional 10 points of slashing.
Okay, so 21 total.
Mm-hmm.
That's fine.
Both of these cuts across you almost in a matching X slant pattern. You can tell that at some point when this being was alive, they knew how to handle a blade.
They did once. I mean, now it's kind of lackluster.
Fair enough. Luckily, ego is one of the first things to die.
Touche.
Okay, these things persist, though they do seem to be, one of them especially, coming undone. Ari, it is your turn.
Ari is going to run back into the fray. Again, going with her sword, going for the one that is on Sir John. I believe that's the one that's mostly hurt.
Yes, I believe that's the one that Sir John closed with, so it should be right.
So the sword attack is going to go on that one. And that is a 24 to hit.
That is definitely a hit.
Okay, spending a key point to make this a nice solid key strike, adding damage. Oh, so that is a 10 points of magical damage from the sword. And if it's still standing, she will...
It is.
Yeah. So then using the momentum from the sword's thrust and swing, she's going to basically like spin around and clock it with a knee. Again, doing an unarmed strike on that one. And that is a 23 to hit.
Likewise, contact is made.
Okay. And that's for 9 points more magical. And if it's still up, bonus action, fist strike like basically, she's just needed now. She's going to punch with the offhand towards its face, kind of an uppercut kind of thing. That's a dirty 20.
Yep. Also is a hit.
For 7 more points of magical.
You deliver this third blow, this third successive strike, and though you punch into this thing's hood, attempting to find a jaw, you find the hood itself is hollow. However, you strike something deep inside the hood that is... It wasn't solid before your fist made contact with it, but it certainly did make solid contact. You hit a surface, whatever the inside of this creature is made of. Okay. Dane, it is your turn.
All right. I guess I'm going to close up with the other one since they're both sort of turned toward now, and I will attempt to stab it, I suppose. So yeah, 15 to hit.
That's what you're looking for. Yep.
All right. And it'll be a whole 7 points of damage.
What kind?
I don't know if my sword counts as magical damage or not.
As a warlock, I think...
No, not as a warlock. It doesn't. Well, as a packed weapon, it does. You're right. So yes, it'll be 7 points of magic slashing damage then.
Okay, excellent.
All right.
It would make a difference.
Right.
Okay. So this thing is still kicking.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to attack it again because of my newest warlock. What do you call it?
Invocation?
Whatever. Yeah, invocation. It gives me a second attack with a back weapon.
What does it look like? How does it look different?
So I think like the first slice comes through, and then there is almost like a ghostly image of the exact same strike that, almost like you were watching like old-fashioned like slow motion, like that sort of trail, if you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it'll be a 16 to hit.
Also a hit.
And it'll only be 4 points of damage. But I'm up in its face.
Okay. These things, again, are being torn to shreds and ribbons before you, but something is still holding them together. Something is still keeping them here on this plane of existence. Eddard, it's your turn.
Well, I think the only thing now to get them off of this plane of existence is to scream them out of this plane of existence. Oh, I muted myself. I'm going to... Are they both like right up next to each other?
They're probably...
They were attacking toward, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, that's perfect for me. I am going to cast Shatter at 4th level.
Nice. Okay. What do you need?
Constitution saving throw with a DC of 17.
Okay. The first one...
That's for both of them.
The first one fails with a 14.
Okay.
The second one passes with a 17.
Are you targeting the creatures directly? Because if so, I gotta make a save too.
It's like a circle around the creatures. So yeah, probably Tord and Dane also have to make the save. Sorry, I'm no wizard here.
Right. I'm not pinpointing my spells.
We get +3.
There you go.
It's 17.
And it's a what save? Constitution?
Constitution.
Hey, with that +3, I get a 17 exactly.
So would I have to as well because I'm right beside them?
Hmm.
Oh,
Yeah.
Mhm.
He just party nuked us.
I'm standing right there, and I just.
Oh, phew, that's a dirty 20 for Ari.
Nice.
It's like we almost knew he does this or something.
I failed. I
Right.
failed. I failed.
Okay, well let's see what the damage is.
You're yelling like right in my ear.
Yikes! 26. 26.
26
was
is
it
total?
force?
I have tinnitus now.
Under damage.
Thunder damage. There you go.
All right. So
Towards deafness right here.
Yeah, it's like the same kind of energy. He kind of holds his hand up to the front of his face, like he's gonna like breathe fire, but he just takes this like big deep inhale, and and as it passes through its hand, it just erupts in like this really loud, cacophonous, thundering sound. Yeah, it's half damage on a successful save.
One of them places its forearm kind of in front of its face and seems to absorb some of the worst of it. However, Eddard, please describe how the one that was more damaged than the other is undone by this spell.
Kind of think that it's less of like an instantaneous boom rather than like it's more of a sustained than it is like instantaneous. It was a 26 total damage. All right. So he does this like fire breathing technique, and from a cone like around his hand, it just erupts out. And the one in front of him is like holding on, but the one behind him is like decimated. Like the fabrics of the clothes and magic all just go up in that same purplish energy, and it kind of just twinkles off into the distance as a breeze comes through and sweeps it away.
Excellent. As it does, though, there's this kind of hollow kind of noise that accompanies the wind that's not even there. All right. It was Eddard, the spirit. Now realizing that perhaps the danger is manageable. Though hooded completely, she turns what you assume to be her face upwards and reaches a hand towards the moon. And you watch as the branches of the trees between her and the moon begin to writhe and move like the legs of insects and spiders, moving their way out of the path of the moonlight as this shaft of red moonlight beams downward directly onto this Ravener. She just cast a spell called Moonbeam upon him. I don't think it takes effect until the beginning of his turn, but I need to double check that real quick. Moonbeam. Enters the spell area for the first time on a turn or starts its turn there. So yeah, I guess it just on its turn. Okay. You can already see the edges of this thing's clothing is starting to smolder and singe under the red light of this moon. Okay, Sir John, your turn.
All right, there's one of these things left. I'm
Correct.
going after it. And I have a big apology to make first. I don't know how I made this mistake, but somehow I've been using D10 superiority dice for several levels, and I don't get them until level 10. So I've rolled
Cheater.
a little. Yeah,
Cheater.
right.
Goodness.
I should be pilloried. But
Get the pitchforks.
With that in mind, I'm going to use my second wind bonus action, and I will recover. This is a D10, and I don't even have to feel bad about it. I'm going to recover 14 hit points. Fat lot of good it'll do me. Let's see. 60. Hey, 69 hit points. All right. Nice.
You won.
The
That's it,
sacred
everybody.
number.
Campaign come to a close. Okay.
Done.
Now I'm going to attack with my sword at this miserable little goblin who's left. I got, but maybe not. I only got a 13 to hit on this one.
No, your blade passes
Fortunate.
harmlessly through this thing's figure.
Dash it all. Fortunately, I do have a second attack, so let's just use that. That's a 21 to hit.
That, however, will make purchase.
And this time I will use a maneuver that's not Majestic Slash of Heaven. Instead, I will use the Eagle's Dive technique. Wah! And so I am catching this Ravener's blade up high. And as I have bound it out of the way of harm, I am also thrusting to the neck of this creature. So here's my D8 superiority die this time. Never too late to get right. And I'm going to have to roll the D8 twice for my hit damage die as well. So let's see. Superiority die was a 2. Damage is a 1, but I forgot I have a feat or something. Oh, my fighting style. I can re-roll 1 or 2 on damage die.
Nice.
So
Excellent.
5 instead. So that's 7 total so far, plus 7, 14 damage total against this thing.
Excellent. You cut into
Is it
this
dead?
thing. It is not dead.
Okay.
I mean, I guess you could argue that fact, but it's
Well,
still
sure.
fighting, to say the least.
If that's the case, then I'm going to use my action surge and take another action, which I think can be an attack, right?
It can be your full attack. So you can
Oh,
make
damn,
another
with 2 attacks.
Correct. Yep.
Deal. Okay. So when I strike at this thing, I stab it in the neck and I like try to slash its head off. And I think my sword just kind of passes through and it doesn't actually take the head off of this creature. And so I just sort of hunker down Kaioken style and I bellow out, back beyond the veil with you. And then I attack again. 14 to hit, 14 plus 11, so 25.
Oh, so yes, that is a hit.
Yeah. This is my last superiority die, but I'm also going to use it for a precision strike again because I really want to chop this thing's head off already. So 4 superiority die. It was a 2 on the damage die, which means I get to re-roll it. Turned into an 8, so 12, 19 damage to this thing this time.
Though your strikes are fierce and plentiful, the creature still stands against you.
Jeez. Okay. Yeah. So I've done the same catching high and then stabbing down into the neck to try and take this thing's head off. Only it was faster and more desperate this time. My second attack, I'm just going for a swing. I'm going to try to lop this thing's head off with a slash.
All right.
So let's see. I got a 13 on the die plus 11, 24 to
Absolutely.
hit. I do not have a superiority die this time. How very sad. But I do have a sword, and I hit for 11 damage.
So, John, what does it look like with the last stroke of the Talon of Insight or Foresight that you finish off this second Ravener?
So like I said, it was like, I caught it high, I stabbed at the neck, I tried to decapitate it, it didn't work. I caught another blade high, I thrust to the neck and I tried to decapitate it, and it didn't work. So finally, after I've already bellowed at this creature, I just have this wordless cry, and I've got the sword in one hand and I just lop its head off, and I think it falls to the ground and starts to roll and maybe dissolve at the same time. But I'm so in the moment that I just chase after it and I kick the head as hard as I can. It's got real strong Aragorn energy.
And as the head and body part of this thing, and you kick the head across the clearing, it hasn't even landed on the ground before it has tattered into threads and blown away as the first. The clearing is now quiet. Spirit nearby hovers, bobs a little, just standing there for a moment. Anybody saying or doing anything?
It wasn't after you this time, Eddard.
Strange. He's kind of huffing and puffing as he catches his breath after the loud screaming. And he does look around, and yeah. Now that you say that, it kind of registers in his mind that he's only ever seen these things attack him, even when they attacked our party.
Is the ghost still here?
Yes.
What do they want with you? Or I would say to the ghost.
Oh, thank you. I was still about to ask. Ari, this ghost completely ignores you. As if she didn't even hear you.
Well then, Jair.
The spirit turns towards you.
Yeah.
Oh, damn it. It's got to do with it being touched by the fucking... There are serious disadvantages to being special. Where should I go to absolve you?
The same finger she used to point in your direction before, she raises again and points further east towards down the road where you know you are headed the next day.
Is it the invaders?
No. There is a man who hates our kind. He hunts, he kills, he burns. He did so to me. He did so to your Zara.
Is there a way to talk to her?
You already have. You see her, black of wing and feather. She haunts you. You know her as Vanwa.
I'll kill this man.
Good. And she fades from sight. And I think that's what we're going to call it tonight. All right. So, thank you so much, everybody, as always. I love this game so very much, and these characters are so much fun to watch play through this tale. The stuff that you guys do with them is every single time, it just blows me away. So thank you. For anybody who has watched this evening, thank you as well. I do appreciate every single watch, subscription, like, all of that, comments that come in from my videos. It makes me very happy to see all of that. We are, I think, 2 subscriptions away from hitting a massive milestone for me. So please spread the word if you liked what you saw tonight. If you're not already subscribed, please subscribe. But all of that aside, I'm going to pass things over to my players so that they can talk about any kind of projects that they may be involved in, point you towards their own channels, which, if they do mention one, you should be able to find a link to those in the description of this video down below. And then we're going to call it an evening. So we will start with Baron. Since you did not have the chance to introduce yourself at the beginning, go ahead and say what you want to say.
Hello, everyone. I'm Baron. I played Masakator, the Angorian orc that I'm very excited to finally get the opportunity to see his home. Hopefully it's cool. I'm sure it will be. Hopefully I'm
It'll
cool
be very hot.
there.
It's all in fire right now.
Yeah. Hopefully there's someone there. Either way, you really probably will only ever see me here, maybe Missing Gears at some point in the future. Kind of reclusive at the moment, but Banners is a happy place for me. So thanks for having me, as always.
Always a pleasure, Baron. Glad to have you back, man. And I am very excited to be getting into Tord's backstory and the things that are probably going to involve him quite a bit. Very excited for it. All right. Next up, we have Karen.
Thank you, everyone, for watching. I love this game. I love this group. This is like, I was so glad. I almost couldn't play tonight, and I was so upset. And as fate would have it, it snowed the first time. I was happy it was snowing outside, and I got to play instead. Yay! So, I can't wait to see the emotional distress that Tord's going to go through in the upcoming sessions. Makes me
So,
feel
Sadist.
Tord has a family. Like, Tord has siblings and, like, parents that are all alive, so...
Or
You're not worried, are you, Baron?
I mean, hopefully... Why would you say that? Whoa! Whoa!
Welcome to our world, Tord.
Just shows up in his hometown, nothing but ovens.
Oh no.
Ovens in the middle of stone circles.
Just ovens and crows, man. Ovens and crows.
I'd like to roll to have a panic attack.
Opens up one of the ovens and there's dolls inside of it.
See, I love this group. So thank you, everyone, for watching. I cannot wait for the next session.
Me either. This is going to get fun. It's already fun. Who am I kidding? Next up, we have Josh.
Hi, my name's Ed. No, my name is Josh, and tonight again I played Eddard Bainton Pendrake. Yeah, just think, Ari, if it hadn't have snowed, Edward and Ari wouldn't be friends anymore because he was gonna kill you tonight. Just kidding. But no, great game, guys, as always. Can't wait for the next session. It's just every time we play, it's just like, can we play? Or are we gonna start now? You know, how we used to say it back in the day, back when this campaign was a wee baby. But no, thanks, Jeremy, for running this game. Thank y'all all for coming every night. It's just means a lot to me. And I know it means a lot to everybody too. So love y'all. Thanks everybody for watching now and in the future. Can't wait for y'all to see what else is in store here.
Hardcore same, man. Thank you very much. Speaking of wee babies, kiss that baby.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, thank you so much for playing as always. Josh, it's always a pleasure, man, to have you. Our very own Baron by title, not by name. One of maybe many. I don't know. We'll have to see. All right. Next up, we have Steve.
Well, I guess I can start by echoing what everybody else said. I'm Eder. No. It is always a pleasure to play this game with this group of people. I'm glad everybody could make it. It was an exceptionally unnerving session. The village and whatnot. So I guess the only thing to plug is upcoming Sunderhearth back on this channel. Right, that's coming to a close. So come check that out and join in, partake, and that's all I got for right now. Other than my elbow hurts.
Sorry, dude. That's gotta suck. No, I can only imagine. But I'm glad that you were able to be here and play as always. Yes, Sunderhearth falls kind of strangely this time around because we met really early this month in October, and the next one's not until pretty late in November, so there's going to be a pretty large window of time that passes between the two. But I am very
It's
excited.
good, though.
Yeah.
Give some time to try and... I think, actually, Karen and I are getting together tomorrow to try and hammer out some of the actual documentation.
Nice. That makes me happy.
Yeah.
And our next guest, I think, is M.
It is. M.
If I
Davis,
remember
yeah.
right? Yeah. And we're talking about...
Looking forward to that.
I'm not going to lie. I don't remember.
Stuff.
It'll be magic at some point.
It will end up definitely being magic.
It makes me feel good that that's still the theme.
Always.
You guys really held true to
Every
that, and I'm really just it's admirable, really.
You know, when you set goals.
It's like
Setting
episode
goals.
1, we're not going to make this all about magic.
Just gonna go ahead and check off that fail box every single episode.
Right. Hardcore fail.
I believe, except
All right.
for the session about magic.
Right. Talk nothing about it at all.
I think that was about religion. Anyways, last but most certainly not least,
Major players and places.
There you go. Major players and places. Would you please?
Hi,
tell
everybody.
people
I'm
goodbye?
Major Players and Places. It was
Yes!
very nice playing tonight. Of course, I represent a lot of players and places as the major of them, but
Player.
it's just really good to be here. No, everybody. My name is Eli. You probably heard that at the beginning, and if you didn't, then why not? Or why are you listening to the end of a show first? My night was great. It was awesome. I got to chop the head off of a magic zombie knight, and I got to do it standing beside strong companions like these. It was a blast. And just sort of heaping the praises onto the pile that's already heaped quite high. This was great, and I can't wait till next time.
Thank all of you very much. This game is very special to me. I am very lucky that I get to run 2 campaigns at the same time that are both going very, very well, and they're both fantastic groups of people and really riveting stories. and that makes me incredibly happy as a dungeon master, as a storyteller, as a player. So I'm so happy that you guys are still giving this game your absolute all every time we sit down to play 2 years in. Makes me excited to run this game every single time we sit down to do so. So I am very excited for the next part. We'll get to a little bit more of what I had tonight, plus some extra, so that we have a full session next time. And I can't wait. So until then, may your dice roll high and your snacks always be within reach.